What's the name of the show?
True Detective.
No, the episode.
Just trying to help. The Hour and the Day.
Welcome into the Bro Force Squad podcast. We're here today to review True Detective Season 3, Episode 4, The Hour and the Day. As you guys know, we grade all of our TV reviews on 4 criteria: acting, casting, story plot, best scene, and any theories or questions moving forward. I'm Brian Banner. Today we've got our enforcer and the mayor himself reviewing this episode, so let's get right into it. Geiger, what did you feel about the acting and cast of this 4th episode?
Banner, I felt a lot, mainly in my pant area, a little bit the other way too, kind of in my butthole, but definitely had a tingling sensation.
I love when you quote scripture on the pod.
This acting and cast has been fantastic since episode 1, and honestly, it's just getting stronger. Mahershala Ali, I know we talk about him in every fucking movie he's in, and every fictional picture he's in, every cartoon he's in, every TV show he's in. He is fantastic in this. And Ray Fisher, so did we know he was a cop? Because I didn't know he was a cop. So Jeff's story's coming true. He's going to be playing a big part in this because he doesn't seem to care about the case right now, but I think his role is going to be quite significant. If he
catches Julie Purcell, oh my god.
Well, to Geiger's point, they don't do shit for no reason. Like, they're not like, let's just make him a cop. Like that.
He's too big of an actor to be this character and not to be something.
Yeah.
We're already getting into theories here.
Just make lunch for no reason, even though no one's eating. They don't do that on True Detective. No. Everything's a fucking reason. And his wife is playing a huge role too, and she's fantastically acted. And I think kind of very attractive, may I add, as well.
Absolutely.
That scene, we'll get into that scene, but that scene where they're on a date, so much sexual tension, not even funny.
If I was the waiter, I'd be like, are you guys just going to fuck here? Or what's the deal?
Isn't it awesome that Purple Haze is a beer man too? I'm like, dude, so are we.
Yeah.
I think I did the screen when he said that. I was like, me too, bruh.
I'm having a beer right now.
Horns, what do you got on acting and cast?
Not much because, like Geiger said, Mahershala Ali, I mean, if you've listened to any of our other reviews or anything we've ever done, if that guy did a Tampax commercial, I'd buy tampons.
He probably win a fucking Emmy for that, too.
Probably would. He's that incredible. I wrote down Amelia is so horny in my notes.
Stupid how horny she is.
I'm too lazy to look up the actress playing her. That's kind of what we do on our podcast.
We mentioned her last week, and I fucked up her name. Check that one out.
She's incredible also. Scoot McNairy was great in this too. The scene where he kept apologizing for saying the N-word, he was like, I am so sorry.
I was laughing so hard in that part.
And Roland is like, yeah, it's fine, man. Just like
that's what you do when you're drunk. Like, I'm sorry for calling your wife a whore. I don't even know her really, so I'm not sure if she is.
She sounds so nice.
Part of me wanted to make that my best scene, but then I thought it'd be super racist, so I didn't.
Yeah, I mean, it was a horrible thing to do, but somehow it was like kind of endearing how apologetic he was. And then I had to search because the first negative thing I could possibly say about this show this season, the dude who played the priest, I thought he kind of sucked. And maybe it's just because, like, if you're pitching to Babe Ruth or Barry Bonds or Bryce Harper, like, you could make a good pitch and they'll still hit it out. Like, he's up against Mahershala Ali or Roland, Stephen Dorff, who's been incredible in most of his scenes. And I know I'm not supposed to feel much gravitas from him, but, like, if he's supposed to be someone that I don't trust right off the bat or I get an inkling maybe there's more to it, I don't know. I just felt like there was no depth to him. It was just like a TV actor that in this show where the level of play is so high, like, you gotta fucking bring it. And that dude was just like taking batting practice. That's not gonna work on True Detective Season 3, bro. So next episode, creepy bald priest, if you're in it, bring your A game or don't fucking show up at all.
You obviously haven't been around very many pedophile priests because I thought he did fine. But that's not who I'm going to talk about. Who I'm going to talk about is actually Lucy Purcell, Mammy Gummer. She did fantastic.
Oh, yeah.
She's been just this drugged out, coked out, heroin drunk mom, absent mom.
Can she not have a life?
She has a life banner.
My bad, guys. I mean, she deserves it. She works hard at Hoyt Foods. I thought this is the first time that she got to flex her muscles, and fuck did she flex them. And that's actually going to be my best scene. We'll get into that later. But that scene with her and Amelia in the kitchen, absolutely fucking fantastic. So before we get to that, let's go on to story plot. I'll go first. I thought that this episode didn't really get moving until maybe 15 minutes to the end of the movie. It was a really good extension of that third episode, like Geiger, you talked about last week, where you have a third episode that nothing happens, but everything happens. And this episode was an extension of that. A lot of that happened, but then shit started moving. We got the guy who stole the bike, and he's crying, which that was another great fucking scene.
Yeah.
Telling him about how jail is going to be, but I still want more of the 90s timeline, and I'm not fucking getting it, and it's pissing me off. Horns, let's go to you first. What do you think about story and plot?
We can briefly get to this in theories, but I think this is setting up that Freddie Burns is going to be the wrongful conviction. Like, it's looking like he's going to take the fall. But the story, a few things I had about this. Alice English let me know that the co-writer of this episode wrote the HBO show Deadwood, which he's a big fan of. And I thought that the dialogue in this episode was really, really good. Like, some of the funniest scenes we've had, like, greatly placed humor in serious scenes, which I'll get to in my best scene because it has my favorite fucking quote of the whole season so far. But everything from Hayes and Amelia's courtship was really, really good. We had a couple scenes of that. The Miss Purcell's breakdown, ending at the Woodards. Basically, it fit the bill, or almost did, of the last... I guess the first two seasons where we had a big shootout in episode 4. Season 2 was at the warehouse. Season 1 was that incredible tracking shot where Matthew McConaughey goes through the drug den. We almost got that again. I don't know. I thought the story here, like you said, was a great segue or pickup from episode 3. Didn't monumentally move things forward, but a lot of food for thought in this one, and probably the best dialogue we've had pound for pound this season.
Geiger.
So, obviously, this show is basically made for Hayes, pretty much. I think this is basically a Hayes building block episode, meaning that when he had dinner with his future wife, he said that he had a, some type of disability. Did you guys catch that?
Yeah.
Where he had, like, a brain disability, which I'll get into later, which I think might have to do why he was seeing fucking Vietnamese behind him in current day. And they're also building blocks that he did something where him and Roland split off after this 80s detective case. Hayes went one way, Roland went the other. Roland went the way, kind of that the Bureau wanted to go. That's why he got promoted and Hayes got demoted. And now in the 90s, they brought up that, after you basically ruined your career, this is the way to get it back.
Yeah, and, you play ball, things could work out for you.
Right. So I'm really ready to see that. This is basically a building block episode. A big thing happened at the end that one of us will probably get to in best scene. But other than that, I think it's really just developing Hayes' character even more, because I don't even think we began to tap the surface on really who he is.
Go ahead, Orange.
Last thing I want to say, I didn't realize, I am a fucking idiot that I missed this. That scene at the very end, well, not the very end, but where he has the Vietnamese people behind him, I didn't even connect that with possible PTSD from him being in the war. I guess I was just totally overlooking that fact, so now I feel really
This will go into theories, but I just thought of this. Was he a prisoner of war? Was he a POW?
I don't know.
I mean, they haven't said that, but I mean, maybe, I guess. But before we get to that, let's do best scene. I'll go first because I've already alluded to mine and what it is. That scene in the kitchen where you have two female actors, and Amelia and Lucy Purcell, going toe-to-toe, and everything is fine, and then Lucy just loses her fucking shit. Absolutely incredible. Scenes like this are why I love watching these shows, and I think HBO in general does a really good job of capturing extremely emotional moments like this.
Well said.
And that was one of the best in shit. That might have been one of the best scenes in all 3 seasons of True Detective. Absolutely incredible. It was probably the first or second time that you really, really, really feel the magnitude of what happened and how Lucy Purcell is dealing and handling the situation.
Yeah. I think to your point, and I'll let Geiger go first, but great shows. True Detective has twists and turns and really like dark places it takes you. But the best shows can just sit two fucking actors at a table, write great and compelling dialogue, and pull performances like this out of them. And that's what the show does consistently. That's why it's so incredible.
Geiger, what was your best scene?
My best scene was the 90s timeline whenever he thinks he sees Julie Purcell.
Oh, on the camera?
On the camera at the grocery store, and I'm just going to leave it at that because I'll lead right into theories.
All right.
That was my favorite scene.
Horns, let's go to your favorite scene real quick.
I'm just tickling your balls right now, man.
I know.
God,
damn, that was
my hand.
really good.
Yeah, that's an over the pants. I'm ready to go in my pants.
So I have a best scene and then a best quote. My favorite scene was Hayes and Amelia's presumably like first official date or whatever.
Sexual tension was absurd.
Oh my gosh, the dialogue in that scene, the way Mahershala Ali and her just play this cat and mouse, their way with words, just like the subtleties. Yeah, you could cut the sexual tension with a fucking plastic spoon.
If they didn't have sex off camera, I don't know how they handled that.
They must. I mean, it doesn't make sense if they weren't actually fucking in real life. But so that was my favorite scene. I just thought, again, it was incredibly well written. When you can do that with just two people at a dinner table, I was locked in, and that was like a 10-minute scene. And we got a lot out of it, too. I think it really advanced their characters. Geiger was talking earlier about how Hayes mentioned, like, he has a disability. Like, what a very organic way to give us information like that. Not through exposition, not through, like, Roland being like, hey, he's got a mental disability, like, something stupid like that. They play it where this is him at his most vulnerable with someone he's finally ready to open up to. And I'm just like, God, give me more of this. Like, what the fuck happens with these guys? I'm so interested. But then my favorite quote, there was a couple times I laughed in this episode. I don't know if I've laughed that much in True Detective ever, but they really had some well-placed humor. And it was the scene where they're in that town in Arkansas and they go to the black guy with the lazy eyes trailer park just to kind of like check him out, check out the lead. And one guy says to Hayes, how can you wear that badge? And Hayes pauses and goes, it's got a clip on it. Fucking walks inside the guy's trailer. I laughed so hard at that scene. I was like, that is like pinnacle smartass. And you can tell Hayes just like, dude, don't even fucking try the race card with me right now. We're looking for a fucking 7-year-old girl. All right. Like, we're not here for that. Okay. Yeah. So that writing was just incredible and just further drives home the point that like these characters with good dialogue is really all we need, but they're giving us more. So good for us.
All right, Geiger, I cannot handle it anymore. So your best scene was when Hayes, quote unquote, sees Julie Purcell on the security camera. What is your theory leading off of that?
So I don't think that's Julie Purcell. And there's a couple of reasons. One is because he only has seen pictures of Julie Purcell. And this would be Julie Purcell 10, 12 years later. Banner, if someone saw a picture of you when you're 8 and then a picture of you when you're 23, do you think they could, unless it's your fucking mother, do you think they could like be like, oh, that's Brian Banner?
Yeah, I looked the exact same. I had long hair and a beard when I was 8.
There's no fucking way. You go through so much transformation, especially just seeing somebody pause on a video like that. He knows who that is, and I think he thought that person was linked to the murder 10 years ago, and that was a suspect that for some reason the state didn't want to go forward with, and that cost him his job. I also think that girl is either
real quick,
girl or has something to do with the girl that's interviewing him. And I don't think Ray Fisher is a real fucking person. I think his son's dead, and I think he's a figment of his imagination. I think everything that's happening in the current day timeline isn't actually happening. I think it's all going on in his fucking mind.
But the issue with that theory, at least the first part of it, is that girl still 10 years ago would have been someone that he couldn't recognize. Like if you say he knows who she is.
Suspects, and she was
that were 7.
You don't know how old that girl is in the video. She could be like 30. I think she is the aunt. I think she is the aunt somehow that they are talking about. And also, going on to a different theory, since we're doing theories, the car at the very end of this episode isn't Roland's because it had a cracked windshield. That's a brown sedan that lady a couple episodes before said that was driving down wherever the crime fucking happened. I think somehow Mahershala Ali has to do with this crime. I think he has a split personality. I think one side of him is detective, the other side of him is killer, and they're trying to basically catch each other.
Yeah, that's a great fucking theory. And the PTSD and the memory loss, I don't know. There's a lot there. There's a lot there.
I don't like that theory because whenever they come up with that, if that's the theory, I think we're all going to scream Fight Club and just hate it. But I think that's a plausible theory. Go back and rewind that. It looks like a black car driving up, but it's so fucking sunburnt. It is a brownish. Someone could confuse it as a brown sedan for sure. Mahershala Ali was in it, and it's not Roland's car unless Roland just got his windshield fixed because he got it broken to fuck going in the trailer park.
Yeah, you're not wrong.
Horns. Theory.
All right, I have a couple. All right, let me see how I want to do these. All right, first off, the scene that you were referencing, Banner, with Lucy Purcell, where she's talking to Amelia in the kitchen, and she breaks down crying. What did she say right before that when she referenced like how the kids didn't have a good life at home? She said, "This was not the best home. Children should laugh." Where else have we seen that quote this season? In the fucking ransom note that was left by the presumed kidnapper.
Wow.
Very interesting that she would quote that. Is it happenstance? Is she just quoting the note? She knows who the fuck took Julie, and it breaks her heart because she was somehow involved. Not directly. She didn't want her daughter to be kidnapped, but she just quoted the fucking ransom note to Amelia. And then an absolute breakdown. So that something is going on with that scene. And then this is just a question. Obviously, the church is fucking involved somehow, right? I think the thing that we're all wondering is that a connection? Because Hoyt Foods is going to come into it in some way as well. Is this a part of the pedophilia ring from season 1 also? I think every episode that goes by, my opinion changes. Like, sometimes I hope for it. Sometimes I don't want something so overt, maybe just like a character that shows up. But there's still so many, I don't know, man, there's too many puzzle pieces that could fit from season 1 that I just don't know about. And then one other theory that I think Alex English and I have both kind of come off of in recent days just because of the age of the character. But there is a school of thought out there that thinks, first off, Roland's son, or excuse me, Hayes' son is fucking the chick from the documentary. That's Alex English's theory.
Yeah.
And I don't think that means much, but like
no, that's definitely plausible, and I mean, good for you. Why not?
But there's a theory going around that the person interviewing Hayes in the 2015 could actually be Julie Purcell.
I don't feel like the ages match up for that.
Right. There is a bit of an age gap, probably like Julie Purcell present day would have to be about 40. That actress looks like at most 30, and that's like pushing it. So it's kind of a square peg in a round hole at this point. But as Chris Farley says in Billy Madison, wouldn't it be awesome if it was?
Now, could it be, just spitballing here, could it be Julie Purcell's daughter?
That's what I was thinking.
Like Julie Purcell maybe got raped or just had a daughter, and it's Julie Purcell's daughter trying to figure out what actually happened with her mom?
Sure. That could definitely be the case. I mean, she has, I think she has some connection to the case beyond just being an interested documentary filmmaker. What that is, it could just be, I don't know. It could just be like she got this information and wants to, like, maybe she has some vendetta against Hayes and wants to rat him out. Maybe Hayes' son actually hates him and like blames him for the loss of his sister and wants to rat him out, or the death of his mother, which we still don't know what happens to Amelia. Last thing I had, Banner, I'm sorry because we kept you waiting so long. Roland, Hayes specifically asked his son, find Roland. And Hayes, Hunter Hayes, his son, is, I don't want to say dismissive, but he's like, all right, Dad, I'll get to it. And now Geiger brought up earlier that he has ways of dealing with Hayes' dementia or early onset dementia by just kind of tabling things that he asks about that are too, I guess, hard to say. Like, yeah, your daughter is actually.
He doesn't want to explain him every day that your daughter's dead.
Exactly. So does he already know what happened to Roland, Or is he actually like, oh, maybe that is something we should look into? I don't know the answer to that, but that exchange felt kind of weird to me, and I just couldn't piece it together.
Roland could already be dead at that point too, though.
For sure, absolutely. And maybe that's another thing we're similar to like Art Geiger's theory on Rebecca, where he just says, okay, Dad, yeah, I'll try to find Roland for you. Even though it's easier than just saying like, Dad, he died in like 1991.
So I've got just one theory, and I can't even take credit for this. I think it was like Monday morning while I was driving into work. Nate Thurman called me, or I called him, something like that. And we were talking about this episode and just theories in general. And he said, you know what, this doesn't have anything to do with this episode specifically. But do you guys remember, I think it was episode 2, when Hayes found the rolled up little notes in, I believe it was Will's bedroom.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
and he
little
pocketed those
paper
in his pocket. We don't know where those are at right now. And it came through the people. It was around the people. Thurman had this, which I thought was a brilliant idea. Don't know how it fits into any of the plot or anything, but that people isn't actually a people. It's actually a hole in the wall to where Julie and Will, who obviously live in a fucked up house and a fucked up family, were able to pass notes back and forth to each other.
Wow.
But again, man,
and it doesn't mean anything, but yet it's going to come into play later on because they go, well, what is this?
But why couldn't they just hand each other a note?
Because they're locked in their bedroom for whatever reason.
Their parents are screaming at each other. They're like, it's okay. They always do this. We'll be fine.
One of them, maybe one of the parents is beating the kids or something like that. Or maybe it's Will passing Julie notes because the cousin or Lucy's cousin or brother, whoever the fuck he is, the dude that we just found out was dead, was touching her inappropriately.
All right, I'm back in. That makes more sense.
Are we convinced that Hayes has dementia, or do you think he's just fucking with people? Because whenever he went to the reporter's like house, wherever she looked like she just got done fucking someone, he acted like he was of sound mind and body pretty well.
I think so. That could play into the split personality theory, but I think when he's fine, but then he goes in like these blackout periods or loses his memory. I mean, I just don't know what the benefit to him would be to pretending.
Yeah, I think dementia. I think people sometimes
slow play to try to find out. We don't know if Julie Purcell's still. We don't know what he's trying to find out through this interview. So
I think it maybe not be dementia, but maybe early onset Alzheimer's. I mean, I think there's a clear difference. Most of the time they're associated with each other, but dementia is you kind of forget things. Alzheimer's, you get very confused. And maybe when you're not confused, you're not. But then he's starting to confuse these different timelines and these different things. And then he realizes what's happening when it's happening, and it kind of freaks him out. That whole scene, though, with the Viet Cong behind him and all that shit freaked me the fuck out.
Yeah. His room, like his little office at night, is just a creepy fucking place.
Super creepy. It to me, it feels like it's like a grandpa's house that hasn't changed in 25 years.
Yeah. And
that's his office, and you're not allowed in there. But when you finally go in there, you're like, yeah, now I know why I'm not allowed in here. This place is fucking weird.
Banner, if that was you, though, wouldn't you ask one of those Vietnamese dudes just to go, like, get you a beer real quick?
Yeah, you got a beer and a beer
you're
and
just
a
standing
joint?
there. This one's empty.
Last thing. Hey, yeah, get out of the rice paddy and go get me a fucking Miller High Life. I'm not doing nothing.
And then at these stands, like, I guess you don't speak English, huh? Because we didn't win that war. So, last thing I thought of, the Purcell's uncle, I can't remember if this is in 2015 or 90, but they find it's in 15, that's what it is.
His bones.
Yeah, they find his bones, so he's dead. And presumably if your bones are found like buried like that, you didn't just die of old age. So for whatever reason, whether he was on to someone or whether he found Julie, whatever the case, someone killed him, right? Yeah. So I don't know if that means we can definitively rule him out because maybe he like had a change of heart, but somehow he is connected, whether it's that he uncovered them or that he was like the guy that was about to rat on the people who took Julie.
There's no way the killer's already dead.
No, he is somehow involved. I think he was involved in what happened. Maybe he introduced the killer to the kids. or something like that. And then because he was a loose end, they had to kill him maybe somewhere around the 90s timeline, which is why they've reopened the case. I don't know.
The craziest thing, though, and again, Freddie Burns' story sort of contradicts this, but who can fucking trust him? He doesn't even get chicks. For whatever reason, and obviously the church, they're leading us to believe they're somehow involved. But the Purcell kids went into the woods that day on purpose, right? It wasn't like they were abducted on the street. They went in there to meet someone who they were planning on meeting, hence why they lied to their parents about where they were going. So what we need to find out now is who was that? Why did the kids do that? And why did this all happen when it did? And who else knew about it that covered it up? And it's going to be a fucking wild last 4 episodes.
Is it bad the first scene whenever they went in that church? I was just like, oh yeah, that dude fucks kids. Is that bad? Like, that's my religious view on stuff? Because
no, that's called good acting.
It's bad, but not for you. Yeah, it's bad.
I blame Netflix and HBO on this because they're putting it in my fucking mind. But that's what I thought. I'm like, yeah, he probably fucks kids.
All right. Blending role models. I had sick thoughts.
I have sick thoughts.
All right, guys. Any last thoughts on episode 4, season 3, True Detective? Geiger, let's go to you first.
We're shooting in the dark here on theories, but one of ours has to hit, right? At least partially.
If we guess enough shit, one of them will have to.
Yeah,
be right.
It's just like a used car salesman. You throw enough shit on the wall, eventually something's gonna stick.
Yeah, one of these has to hit somehow. That's all I gotta say.
And you have heard it first here on the Bro Force Squad podcast. Horns, any last thoughts?
God, I mean, the season. Here's the thing. I think this season, obviously, like, we're gonna judge ultimately by how it ends, but it's a hell of a ride right now, man. I hope that they stick the landing, because this is like some of the most fun I've ever had watching TV. Like, to be totally honest.
The only thing I'll say about this is, and this is something that True Detective season 1 did very, very well, it feels like a real investigation from my side. There are things in here that aren't going to fucking matter. There are things that are very important that I don't know are important right now. I'm going to miss stuff, and it's all going to come together at the end. And that's what makes it fun, is we have no idea what matters and what doesn't matter. I have a fucking hell of a time talking with you guys about it and thinking of theories and all of this. Can't wait for Sunday. Guys, we've been the Bro Force Squad podcast. You guys can check us out on what's that thing that you like to review movies on, Jeff?
Letterboxd. Check it out.
That thing. We have a Broforce Squad website, www.broforcesquad.com. Subscribe to us on iTunes and on YouTube. You guys can get to us on Spotify. Are we on Pandora? Is that a thing yet?
They haven't emailed us back, so fuck Pandora.
All right, fuck Pandora.
But by the time this comes out, we might be on there, so thank you, Pandora.
Which is fine. We'll put a link in the description to download the app if you have a Fire Stick or anything like that. You should buy a Fire Stick. That's what I watch all of my content on. Amazon Fire Stick. It's awesome.
As do I, actually.
Yeah.
We'll link it below in the description.
We'll link it below.
Go buy it. It's actually badass.
All right. I think that's enough shameless plugs for us. Guys, we've been the Bro Force Squad podcast. For the mayor himself, the enforcer in the paint, I'm Drunk the Mad Scientist. We'll catch you guys next time.
Never trust a church again. That's my theory. Get that tattooed.
All right, we ready?
Yep. So you're hosting this one, right, Banner?
Yeah, I can host it.
This is season 3, episode 4, The Hour and the Day, if you want to mention that.
Yeah,
if not, that's
The Hour and Day. Welcome into the Bro Force Squad podcast. We are here to review season 3, episode 4 of True Detective, The Hour and Day. I think that's right. I need to write this down. We're going to start over. All right, I'm ready. Welcome into the Bro Force Squad podcast. We're here today to review season 3, episode 4, The Hour and the Day of True Detective. Guys, we grade all of our... I'm fucking terrible at this. Let me go again.